Okay, welcome everybody to today's Esports Research Colloquium, and thank you so much for joining me. Now, today I'm really excited to be speaking with Tobias Scholz and Brian McCauley. Tobias and Brian, welcome back to the colloquium, and I'm really looking forward to the chat that we are going to have about the Esports Research Network conference this year. Honestly, I think there's no better fit for today's session, since you are chair and vice chair of the Esports Research Network, but also conference chair and member of the scientific committee of the Esports Research Conference. So let's get started. Both of you introducing yourselves to the audience. I would say, Tobias, do you want to go first?
Yeah, sure. First of all, thank you for the invite and happy to be here. My name is Tobias Scholz. I'm currently assistant professor at the University of Siegen for human resource management and organizational behavior. And as Oliver said, I'm the founding chairperson at the moment. And esports for over 20 years, playing and mostly bad. Therefore, I'm doing research on it. And over to Brian.
Thank you.
Yeah, I'm Brian McCauley. I do the podcast as well. I'm here at the Media Management and Transformation Center at Jönköping. Everyone will think it's Jönköping, as I did before I came here. Jönköping International Business School in the city of DreamHack. And around 5-minute walk that way is the university. And around a 15-minute bus ride away is Elmia, where DreamHack is held twice a year. So this is the city of DreamHack. And when I play Valorant now, and I play on the Stockholm servers, I always have the lowest ping, because this city is set up for 15,000 gamers hitting their PCs at the same time, which is one of the perks of living here. So yeah, I'm in Jönköping right now, where the conference will be held.
Thank you. I don't have that in common with you, Brian, the great ping, but I have a similarity with Tobias. Besides being German, I also am not the best player. Talking about how to improve our performance, can you introduce the idea of the Esports Research Network Conference, which is the great topic of today's session? Maybe Brian? Or whoever wants to.
Okay. Well, it's the last one was health and wellness, organized by Nico Bessoms and the University of Paris. And originally, the plan was, because Paris Game Week was happening, and then there was this influenza COVID-y thing that a lot of us have had now, and COVID hit, so we had to do it online. And from the very get-go, what we always wanted to do with conferences for ERN was to actually have them when an event was happening, because one of the goals of the network is to actually work with industry and connect and do impactful research. So this time around, the world has opened up again. It's not gone away, but we're all taking our chances and taking our vaccines. And I decided to host it here because I work very closely with DreamHack and the city, and they're very supportive. It's one of those regions that sees the potential of esports. And, like twice a year, usually, I get to go to DreamHack. And the idea is this time is sustainability. And the reason is because it's what's post-COVID is a big question mark on esports: economical, social, and actually environmental as the third pillar of sustainability. And the basic idea is that we want people to come and get together in person, because we're all Zoom beat out. And, one of the things we might have all learned as lecturers or researchers is that it's not the same to be online. It's fine. But at the same time, you need to connect with people. So the idea is that people can come to Jönköping during DreamHack Winter, which is the bigger of the two. It's bigger than DreamHack Summer. And we do our conference the 21st to 23rd. And then after that, anyone who comes will get a free guest pass to the DreamHack Festival. And, I'll try to book a couple of computers somewhere on a LAN lane. But really, people can come in for a day or two or the whole weekend and experience the whole event. And we'll have a lot of people from industry attending and connecting and meeting. And the whole idea is part of a big DreamHack week, which the region has been very encouraging and supporting. So there's going to be lots of stuff happening in the week around DreamHack. So instead of just a conference, you also have the option to have an a work excuse to go hang around in DreamHack. And, you know, it's just, I love it so much. You know, it's just it's the best part of living here for me. So that's the idea, is that we have our first in-person conference, and hopefully all subsequent conferences connected to an industry event, so that we can actually connect with industry and work with industry and create those relationships.
I think it's a really great idea to connect it with the event that happens afterwards. And the conference takes place on 3 different days, or 3 days in a row, from November 21 to 23. And
well, there might be a Nordic Esports Business Summit happening, and that's in talks as well in between the two. But we are going to be quite flexible in, once we confirm everything, we might have special sessions on a 4th day. You know, there's a bit of flexibility there. Generally, it's about getting people together to actually connect and talk and discuss. We're not doing a hybrid conference in terms of the abstract presentations, because I think I've observed that when people get to just talk to each other in a room without a camera on them, they're able to connect better without that fear of being recorded, to actually, you know, speak. So what we'll be doing is the panels and the keynotes will be live streamed on Twitch, and we might have some online panels as well. So we're going to have those live streamed, and we're going to work with a lot of big partners to make sure it's a good audience. But when people come to present their ideas or their workshops or their abstracts, the important thing is that they actually get to connect with the right people in a space and present their work and have a open and frank discussion, rather than a whole bunch of who's talking from online, or someone, you know, that they can actually be with people, which is esports hybrid. You know, we play online, but you come to DreamHack for the in-person experience, and we're kind of doing that as well.
Yeah, I'm talking to people over a year now via the internet and via Twitter, for example. And this week, next week, I'm going to meet them for the first time, and I'm also looking forward to meeting them in Jönköping in the end of this year at the conference. And it's great that it's being live streamed. Where can people find the live streams? Is it going to be Twitch and YouTube, or what exactly?
Yeah, it'll be Twitch and YouTube through our own channel, but also we're looking to be streamed through some of our close partners, like DreamHack itself, ESL, and, you know, Nico and French Esports. We're hoping to get a fairly wide audience for the keynotes and panels, and YouTube, of course. And that's the idea, that there is content and people can access some of this stuff, but for the people presenting their abstracts, they don't have to worry about that, that they can actually relax presenting their own work, because it's scary presenting work a lot of the time. And I think it's always a little bit scarier when people are doing it and it's on a camera and it's there for posterity. So we're avoiding that.
Yeah, it's a good idea. You slightly touched the topic, but how are the 3 days structured? And can you talk about that in more detail, or is it not possible yet?
It's actually not possible yet, because we're in a lot of discussions with people. It's summertime. And it's after summer, people really know their timetables. So people are going, oh, I can't commit to November or this or that. But that's the whole idea, is this month we want people to submit their abstracts. We have an idea of numbers, and we'll once people are starting to register, and, you know, we're lining up a lot of people. It's just that, you know, we can't look that far ahead yet. And it's everyone's saying, look, after August or in August, I'll know more. So there's the structure will be depending on how many people come, who we've got lined up, but optimally, there's definitely a welcome dinner at the Spira Cultural House that might have got the city government to agree to sponsor. And we're being sponsored by Destination Jönköping as well, as one of our other sponsors. And we're currently just talking to sponsors and seeing who's available. And the idea will be, we'll just be looking to really maximize people's times and set people up with the right people that actually, you know, will definitely, you know, hit up Kappa Bar one night. There'll be lots of time for sort of work and fun. And then, of course, the DreamHack event itself is always amazing, and there's always great buzz there. And, you know, if anyone really wants, we'll get them a sleeping hall pass if they want to do the full thing.
Yeah. So what I'm hearing is that you try to live the dream of the Esports Research Network to connect people and contribute to research exchange. It's a great thing. Maybe Tobias, can you talk about the requirements or the fees and costs of the conference?
Yeah, sure. So in general, the requirements are relatively simple. So just submit an idea, just submit what you want to do. And we are there relatively open in that sense. For sure, we want some academic papers, but that can be work in progress, that can be more experimental stuff and all that. Just write it in there. But we are also open for panel ideas. We are also open for practitioner ideas and all that. And that's what Brian said in that sense. We are still, depending what is submitted, to get stuff together. For example, also the idea if there are many PhD students or people on the master level who want to submit something, we want to put them into a dedicated track where, for example, more discussion is allowed, so they get more feedback in that. And yeah, for the fee, I know we talked about it, Brian.
I think we made it officially 250 euros for someone affiliated with as a full-time researcher, and 100 euros for a PhD student or a someone not working directly for an institution, because we want to make it accessible. We know it's expensive to travel. And you know, we actually, where we started with prices, people said, no, that's too low. So we have to cover some costs. We are working on sponsors, but we also really want people to be able to come. And the idea as well is that once we have more abstracts and have a better idea, is we can engage more industry and practitioners with the researchers as well. So it's kind of a very fluid one, because we want to do something quite different. We want it to be very interactive. We want it to benefit people rather than just saying, oh, you know, this is my abstract. You know, we didn't do a full proceedings. We're doing an abstract because it's about people exchanging ideas. Although, you know, I am working currently on getting a special issue in a very highly ranked journal on the topic. And that'll be announced as soon as we can confirm that. So we will be looking, if that's confirmed, we will be looking to have a paper workshop. So there will, you know, it's a matter of timing that, so it's, and we'll look to, we've already booked some hotel rooms, and I'll be looking into different ways we can accommodate people and support people who maybe mightn't have the resources of a big European university. So it's really, it's going to be a constant work in motion for the next few months. But, you know, people get to go to DreamHack, and the people will get to meet actual people from industry and connect rather than just meet other researchers, which is what we think is the most important thing about it.
Fascinating idea. I really like it. And getting back to the point you raised, Toby, having a student workshop or student session, will there be, if we can say that at the moment, will there be a parallel session with other experts presenting, or will this be one main event of the day where no parallel sessions are happening?
Ideally, I would love to have one session on that where everybody has the chance to give them some feedback. So they have a broad audience, because that's something, I mean, we all know that the best that getting feedback is the critical part in getting your PhD. But yeah, it depends. If we are flooded with abstracts, we need to make some time. But I would love to have students on a spotlight, so they are getting some recognition what they are doing.
Yeah. And talking about the abstracts, they are limited. All cases, work in progress, finished articles, are they all limited to 750 words? And how does the submission via ERN Chair take place?
Yeah, so it's definitely limited to 750, but that doesn't mean you need to be at 750, but that everybody has at least a chance to explain what they are doing. In some fields, it requires a bit more to explain. I mean, especially from sociology, where the theoretical framing and all So that's the part. And yeah, using EasyChair is actually quite straightforward. You can put everything into the text fields and upload a document, and that's actually it.
Well, it should be noted 750 words plus references, because I've so many times you review for conferences and you get some word limit and then you're going, okay, they've got references in there. Now I have to go find these. So it's 750 words plus the references you want to use. And I think you submit as a PDF. So I really don't understand having, I've done so many different conferences reviewing and going, how am I supposed to review this? This is stupid. So made the decision, let's not be stupid. It's 750 words limit and then some references so that whatever you write actually makes sense. And then it's submitted as a PDF. And look, we're fairly open because it comes out as a book of abstract. It's not going to be a proceedings where suddenly you have to rewrite it all to publish it in a journal and create those issues, because some people don't go to conferences to have proceedings anymore because of that issue. And, we also don't want to limit people to having a really high level. We want high level, but we don't want super high level academic publishable in a top journal stuff. We want your ideas. We want what you want help with. We want what you want to input, who we can connect you with. So it comes out as a book of abstracts, but which is a preference for many universities because of this issue these days. So it's very open, and you can always contact me or Toby or anyone else on the board if you have any questions, Nico or Steph or anyone, because the most important thing is that we get people here and we can connect them to the right people in terms of researchers and industry. And it's very important that people get to meet people. Because things stay abstract if you don't meet people in real life. So the most valuable part of this is actually, building partnerships or relationships through interacting with people in real life. And that is one of the things that's been missing the last few years. And that's one of the things we want to fix in terms of getting people to get more engaged and eventually take over from us. And that's what, and that's the whole idea, because that's why DreamHack exists. It's because people can take their online activities and come together offline, and we're doing the same thing.
Yeah, thank you. This sounds like a really simple thing to do, to submit an abstract and not having to worry about the word limit and stuff like that, and adapting it to different disciplines or fields. I really like that. But is there anything that you would like to add, maybe Brian or Toby, based on last year's submissions from abstracts that people may consider when they submit an abstract? Some mistake that you perceived or?
Yeah, so one thing which I saw a bit in that sense, that's not always was clear how it was connected to the theme of the conference. So it was on health and wellness, and sometimes it was like, okay, yeah, we are doing some whatever research, but it was never the idea at some papers or abstracts. Okay, what does it impact on the esports player health? I mean, even on the psychology perspective, any case. And that's something where we definitely want to have in that sense on a sustainability aspect, especially as we have those three pillars. Even though I say, okay, if you're dealing with social and environmental, you will have an impact on the economic sustainability. But what's the direct link? What's the direct link on your research where we can have this discussion? Because that's the part we want to show that all of the three parts are connected. And only if we are dealing with all three parts, we can solve those issues. So that's something I definitely saw in the last conference, that this was not always clear.
But just to be clear, it's economic, social, environment, sustainability. So it's a pretty broad topic. I mean, sorry, anyone who organizes the future conference, but I got the broadest one possible because of the 3 years we've had, because we had to do the last one online, because it's time to get back out in the world. So I definitely picked a relevant topic, which is, it's extremely relevant with 3 interlinked branches, but also one that's very open so that to maximize the opportunities, there's no real reason anyone can say, oh, this is not something I can talk about in these terms. It's a very open topic, but very relevant. So, and also with the environmental one, I would like to say we're very open to video games in general on the environmental sustainability, because that one is certainly not limited to esports. So don't think that one has to be about esports. And also, esports is competitive video games. So we're quite, we want esports, but we also, if it's games and it's relevant to esports and sustainability, yeah, go for it. But particularly the environmental one, we kind of think we're very open on that one being on gaming and computers in general, because it's such an important topic. And that's, yeah, so that's the whole thing. So we just want it within that framework, but it's a very open framework to ensure that as many people can attend and take part as possible.
Yeah, especially the environmental part is something where we are open for anything, because it's a topic that is massively neglected in not only gaming sector, but anything in a digital environment. And we want to push this discussion because it's a discussion that, at least in esports context, is one of the first times where research can push this discussion and is already a bit pushing. And yeah, it's something where we need to solve that. As everybody is saying, okay, the digital future will solve our energy problem, but the reality, it's the opposite. I read the study where the whole gaming sector, its energy consumption is like the same as in California. And that sounds a lot.
Yeah, thank you very much for clarifying. It's really interesting. And Brian, I have another question for you. I think you are the perfect fit, especially based on your location and your expertise, for the conference chair. But in addition to this position, is there also a science there's also a science and organizing committee? And I wonder how these committees have been informed or formed. I'm just curious about that.
Really, it starts with the board, and then I just, for this version, I added some people who actually were connected. So you got sort of like Mark Campbell at the Lero Lab, you've got Yuho Hamari in Tampere. So it's just a lot of people who actually are connected so that they can help bring it together, and people who I know that I can work with and are competent. But the whole thing is that this is the first one that's going to be in person. Really, I'm happy not to be involved with the next one, because it's a lot of work. But the reason I'm actually taking on this work is so that we can get more people activated, more people connected to take on the next ones. And that's the whole thing. We want to empower people. We want to give people, say, yeah, you can actually host a conference next year. Yep, no problem. Off you go. Because that's what we want to do. And it's just, I think COVID really derailed a lot of building of the network, because we're all stuck behind our computers and because we couldn't go to events. So the whole idea with how the committees were formed was just, for this time, I just took who I knew and who I'd met in person, mostly, and people who can, help connect other people to bring them in. We will probably have an announcement at the conference about the next one. That'll be lined up by the time. We're already in talks with that. But this is a sort of thing that we're always happy to empower members, and we want to meet people and have them come on the board, have them join the committees, and actually, give them, it's so much easier once you meet someone in person to actually talk to them afterwards. It just really is. We've all experienced that teaching as well. The difference is huge. And that's the whole thing, is that if we get to know people and they say, oh, I want to do this or that, and then we'll go, yeah, absolutely. One of the things we always want to do is support people's grant applications. And, I think it's intangible to people until they get to meet us and talk to us all in person. And, and the whole thing is to activate people so that we can encourage all these fantastic things. And that we can get people working with, I'll have a lot of Swedish esports here, but we'll also have a lot of international esports here at the same time. So that's one of the advantages, is that we're bringing people where the esports and gaming people are coming. And, so that's the whole thing, is that we want this to evolve away from us eventually. And that's why we've now got those committees activated. And we're looking to make this a very democratic research network, but I think we all have to meet in person, because the last official in-person event was in 2019 here, when we had a symposium and we had 64 attendees. And we actually published that paper on sustainable esports in the International Journal of Esports. And that was based on the workshops we had. So unfortunately, COVID derailed all that. So we're kind of coming back to Jönköping to try to reboot it all, restart it all. And, I want people particularly people who work at universities in tropical holiday destination locations that also have esports events. I highly encourage them to talk to me about hosting events. Because I think we're going to Hawaii for the Hicks conference in January. We're hosting a track there, and there's a lot of other members hosting tracks there. And, it's as someone said to me, are you just going because it's Hawaii? And I said, no, of course not. I'm presenting research and chairing a mini track. It just so happens it's in Hawaii, but I'll take the hit of that long plane trip. That's what a trooper I am. But that's the idea. It's a reset button on the whole thing after COVID. So we're bringing it to the actual biggest, longest standing esports connected events in Jönköping in Sweden. And, the university and the city here are quite committed and ahead of the game than a lot of other cities. So we're going to take advantage of that. And then after that, I'll have to hopefully fly all over the world to lovely places to go to the next conference hosted by somebody else.
Hey, by Tobias and Siegen. One question that we need to discuss afterwards is why I was not invited in 2019 for the meeting. But I took a look at the science committee and the organizing committee, and I think it's a great pool of experts. And I'm also included, which is not a praise for myself, but I was happy to be asked and to be able to collaborate on the conference as well. And this is more like a personal question, but I'm highly interested. I would start with Tobias. Is there any person that you are very much looking forward to meeting at the conference in person? Since we had some years with COVID now, and is there one
absolutely you.
Beside me?
Everybody I not yet have met. So it's just a thing where there are so many people in the network where I know what they're doing. I know what they're doing great things. But if I look here in the room, there's Sean, there's Joanne. All of them are people, I read their stuff. I saw their talks and their work and all that. And getting this physical idea to see that person is something which I'm really happy about that. And as Brian said, so many of them are there and we never met. So that's the part where I cannot say any specific person besides you.
Okay, it's wonderful. Thank you very much. I'm also excited to meet all of you in November in Jönköping. I'm not sure if I pronounced that correctly, but Jönköping. I'm sorry. And I feel honored, Tobias. And Brian, is there anyone beside all of the great researchers that you're most looking forward to meeting?
Well, see, I think anyone knows me knows I love connecting people. Yeah. I also work with IGDA Sweden, the Independent Game Developer Association, games and esports in my area. And I did the last DreamHack winter back to its roots, which was a very small one. And I did the experience. I brought my computer and then I played 3 games because I ran around talking to people so much and making stuff happen. I'm going down to Copenhagen with Graham Ashton from Riot now in 2 weeks for the Valorant Masters. And it's absolutely exhausting but what you do is you network and you meet so many people. For the last DreamHack summer, Mark McCready from Scotland was here. He stayed with me, and we ended up hanging out in the land lane with this Valorant team from Wales and learning a bit about the situation there. And, you know, it's all about just putting people together and making stuff happen. And there's loads of people I'm looking forward to meeting. I've met Julia Hilscher. I met her in Gotland, the big island between sort of Finland and Sweden, a few months ago. You know, I met Mark just 2 weeks ago for the first time when he came over here. So it's always fantastic. And then it's been such a hard, I think, 2 or 3 years that it's very hard to see anyone. Like, I met a few people at the ESIC Global Summit in London, of course. Tobias was there, and there was a lot of other people there. So it's always fantastic, because I always find that games and esports gatherings and sort of conferences are always that bit cooler than business conferences, because let's face it, everyone who's doing it loves to play and has a passion for games. And you know, it's generally nice people, which is why ERN works as it does, because we don't kind of have people just there for their name on the board. We try to get people who will engage and work for each other and connect. So I'm looking forward to meeting everyone, because all my experiences so far have been positive, although I will be running around like a maniac sorting stuff out. So I probably won't even remember it. It'll just be this blur of me running around, putting out fires and making sure things run smoothly. But, you know, once people go to DreamHack after the conference, maybe I'll relax a bit. But we're also looking to have talks at DreamHack Winter, and I'm currently in discussions about that. So we will be looking to once more stuff happens, we're looking to have people be able to do a talk at DreamHack. That we're looking to have more stuff happen there, and working with them and the commune to make sure that happens. So that, and if the business summit happens again, I'm looking to actually have people engage across the 2 or 3 events, so that it's worthwhile for people to come. So it's not just a conference, it's also about maximizing what we do and how we're represented and how people can connect. And we'll make sure to have relevant people attend the conference from industry who are interested as well. So I'm going to die. Like, that's just it. I'm going to die. So if I die before it, I've said I want a hologram like Tupac at the opening ceremony. But you know, it's going to be fantastic to have everyone together. And if I haven't been to DreamHack before, it's just a mind-blowing experience to have so many geeks, nerds, and gamers in one place happily playing away.
I'm really looking forward to that. And I think meeting in person creates different connection compared to just meeting online. But I'm also interested in how meeting online for the first time influences the way that you connect when you really meet in person, because this is different to just reading articles from other researchers and then meeting them in the conference without having met them online, which is maybe a great opportunity to connect on another level. And Joanne also said that she recently met Seth, and that Zoom connects, to put it simply, what she just wrote down. And thanks for sharing that. Yeah, I'm excited for the conference. I'm excited to meet all of you, or everyone listening, and everyone coming to Jönköping or another conference that we can meet. One question is now a little bit jumping between topics, is looking back at the last year's eSport Network conference, do you think that there are some lessons you have learned and some things that you would like to change for the upcoming conference?
I actually did learn from that. The first one was that we streamed all the presentations, and that it was online and we had to, but reality, that was a mistake. It diffused the audience. And I actually looked at that and said, look, if we're going to do it in person, I want people to actually not have to be presenting. So I'm on a Twitch stream, you know, it's less pressure. And because when I was in Gotland, when I met Julia, like we didn't record anything. We didn't take pictures, you know, and that's what I've learned, is that it's always being on is draining. To always have to have your camera on during staff meetings. Pro tip, put the Zoom meeting, mute yourself, do your aim training during staff meetings. They think you're just looking at the camera, concentrating. But it does get exhausting always being on, and we'll have a mix of academics and industry on our panels. We have a lot of ongoing conversations, and we're confirming with people. And the idea is that people need to actually enjoy themselves at a conference and connect. And that's one big lesson. And when we were in Gotland, because there was no recording, because there was no cameras, it was much easier to engage with people and have open and frank discussions. That's what I've really learned, that especially doing the podcast, doing all these different things, is that it's painful to always, teaching was just a nightmare to the black hole of Zoom death. No matter what you did, those poor kids who got started university at the start of Zoom, they got screwed over. At least the ones who had a year behind them could adapt. But I think for many students across the world started university during COVID, it was an awful thing. So the whole idea is that when you present, you're not, you get up, you can talk for 10, 15 minutes, have a bit of a discussion, but it's not like you have to really be super, your dean's not watching you, no one's going to hammer you with difficult questions. And that's definitely a thing. It's definitely, I've always learned it's good to be nice and supportive, and that will be definitely the theme. It'll be a discussion rather than an interrogation. And to actually make it a comfortable place for people, especially younger academics, to grow, but to connect. I do a lot of research on networking with game developers, and it's hard for some people. So the idea is that no one's going to feel pressure unless they're going to be on a panel. Well, then tough. You volunteered to be on a panel. You're going to be sitting there with some esports professional watched by people live streamed on Twitch. But for everyone else, I want them to be able to meet, enjoy, discuss, connect, and not feel the pressure of always being on. It will be black tie optional. And if you wear a black tie to the conference, you'll look weird. So definitely not a good option. But that's my biggest thing, is that people need a chance to actually enjoy what we do. And that's the important thing for me.
So what I'm hearing is, by enjoying yourselves, or themselves, you mean that they are in the moment enjoying the presentations without being worried about their performance, or also going for a drink, stuff like that?
Yeah, absolutely. Both. Absolutely. It's academia is like business. It's about relationships. One of the best pieces of advice I got from someone, Kieran Tierney, my co-author on the paper about Jönköping and another couple of projects, he said, only do research with people that you would go for a beer with, or, a coffee or a fika when you're in Sweden. And that's another thing. We want people to be able to find potential research partners through, people they like. And we want people to feel more engaged and to find partners in industry and stuff like that. So it's not a huge auditorium. It's there'll be sessions going on where people can make relationships, build relationships, and present in a safe space. And also we'll make sure that you're in sessions where your topic with the people on your topic as well. And there are a lot of potential topics that are so important and so valuable. So one thing about this conference is ESL and Julia Hilscher, who's on our board, have the GG for All initiative, which is social sustainability, and diversity and inclusion and education, and all those such important topics are a part of this conference. And of course, I've said this to so many people, but the social sustainability, to make esports more welcoming and inclusive, leads to economic sustainability. And it's where we have our diversity and inclusion committee as part of ERN, and we're already working with them on certain things about the conference. And we're talking to ESL about theirs, and we're talking to Riot, and we're talking to different people about how to bring these big important initiatives into the conference and how they can take part. And I think we want the conference to represent what esports should be: inclusive, welcoming, a safe space. And there's a new association for disabled gamers. Martin, whose son is in Little Mix Para team, they're a CSGO team, and a lot of them have muscular dystrophy, and they'd kick my ass. But they're coming to DreamHack, so I have to talk to him about the new association they're formed. And I'm talking to another university in Sweden who are going to be coming because they've got a new center for people with disabilities. And that's the sort of stuff that I love about gaming and esports, in that it can be for everyone. You know, I can't wait for it to be a female winner on the CSGO major stage, but I think it's more likely Valorant at this stage with a 35% player base. And, you know, anything like that is fantastic. And we welcome stuff like that. We want topics like this, how to stop toxicity, you know, how to educate parents, how to make kids learn behaviors online, how to stop the pressure on kids to perform that they get through esports, which I am always seeing too much. You know, Kylie's in the chat there, and she works with London United, who use esports to lower gang-related and knife-related crimes. So I want Kylie to come present about what they're doing. 100% interest in all those topics, she says, yeah. But also people who want to talk about revenue streams, about monetization. You know, that's also good. About pressures on content creators. We could go on forever. It's, you know, how like the national associations. I thought Emma Witowski had an interesting paper just recently on those, you know, on the power of publishers, or the, you know, negative, positive, whatever way you want to look at it. How we want stuff on e-cic, we want stuff on doping, on gambling issues. Really, it's so broad, but the actual idea is that these topics can be talked with people of similar topics, connect to people in the industry, and actually work on solutions. So that's why we're not about proceedings so you can say, oh, look, I've got a proceedings, I went to this conference. We're about actually trying to make stuff happen so that, you know, esports is the future lab for society, and we want people to use this conference to actually maybe do something, have societal impact, build the connections, build the relationships, actually, so that we can use this fantastic opportunity of this rapidly developing context that can help us, you know, understand so much about the world.
Yeah, that's a beautiful part which you are saying, that looking at esports is not only looking at esports. It's something where we can learn so much, and there are so many topics where I think, I strongly believe that if we are achieving some form of sustainability in all three dimensions in esports, we can use that for the digital society, and we can use that for a greater good. And all of that is just because everybody's playing. And it's something which always sounds weird, but everybody is actually really playing. And I mean, we are not that young anymore. And we are also playing. So that's something where we want to have those discussions, and we want to get people like Carly together with people who are thinking about revenue streams, because it's something where it's like the world is ticking like that. Somebody needs to make money to do good. It's a bad thing, but it's the way it works. But that's something we learned in esports quite a lot, because we are not, I mean, for 20 years, we were never about non-profit status. We are discussing that now. And all of the good things, all of the volunteer work that was done before is something which makes me so actually quite proud of esports, because many people invested so much to get it where it is now.
And look, you've got Sean Carton here, and he's making a MOBA game that is designed to reduce toxicity through a leadership function. So Sean, how about you submit an abstract and we'll set it up, and you can have a bunch of researchers test out your game who actually can play a MOBA, not me. I can just shoot people, not in the head, in the belly, because my aim is terrible. But, you know, that's the sort of stuff we want to see included, that sort of academics and industry and practitioners coming together. And we are in a lot of discussions I've had meetings with on GG to all. Sean's open for it. We're having discussions, you know, challenger mode, all these different stakeholders who actually do want to be part of the conversation. And it's really, I think we said it in our paper, that the industry actually wants to work with researchers. You know, I'm a marketing professor. I can't really do much that, you know, Ogilvy or Google's data can use as a researcher. But with esports, the industry wants to learn more, and they're very interested. And I think I said it before, but I always ask people, what research would you like us to do that could help you? So it's an opportunity to meet people and get those opportunities to work with them. And there's a lot of opportunities coming up and happening that people want researchers to help with. And it's an exchange of value that you work with them, you give them a report, you publish your paper, everybody wins. And that's what I always push for. And that's the whole idea of this conference, to make sure that people can connect with the right people to create this value for esports, for gaming, and for the wider society. And it sounds very, noble and OTT, but it's actually not, because from my experience of running around networking everywhere, it's amazing how interested people are. And I'll do a podcast with someone like TLO, and after we stop recording, we'll spend 45 minutes talking about the different science. I'm sending in papers, and it's, Miss Harvey was like, she's there, so I've got another appointment, but I want to keep talking about this. I want to see the research, and I've talked to Mark Candela at Twitch Education, and like, I sent him papers immediately afterwards. So you have a lot of people who will actually use your research and will engage with you on your research, which is very unusual in the social sciences, at least. It's a rare opportunity for people. And then, of course, the big thing about esports is that it doesn't matter what discipline you're in. I think that was one of the first things we established, that humanities, social sciences, technology, education, business, all the different fields have an interest in it, and it's of value. So I always love working with people who are from different disciplines. That, I tend to work with a lot of researchers who are not in esports and do esports projects, because then they have a clearer lens on it, and it's a good mix. But interdisciplinary research in esports, and multidisciplinary or interdisciplinary, is amazing. It's a huge opportunity. And, that's another thing. We want people to come here and go, what are you into? Oh, wow, how if we combine our powers like Captain Planet? When our powers combine. I'm old.
Yeah, I really like that. And I honestly ran out of questions, and therefore I would like to open the discussion to the whole group, which was the way we usually start the conference or the colloquium. So is there any question from the audience? Otherwise, Toby and Brian, is there something that you would like to add to today's discussion that you felt was not addressed yet?
I mean, we don't have the speakers or the panelists lined up yet, but that's because we are having all those discussions with sponsors. So if anyone wants to contact me with potential sponsors, so we can fly more people, we can make more arrangements. But if anyone wants to be on a panel or want to propose a panel, propose one through the abstract, come directly to us on Discord or email or whatever. I'm technically on holiday, but obviously Discord is where I work and also where I play. So we're always, if you want to ask us anything, or we're not a huge corporation behind closed doors, and we will be announcing lots of stuff. And for anyone who hasn't seen it, the grad committee, I think Column's here, but Eva and some of the others are doing a set of summer talks starting next Thursday. They're doing 3 online panels, which is very exciting, and we'll be, it's announced on the Twitter today, but we'll be confirming who's involved. And we're going to start using our Twitch a lot more. And when I get some time, I'll start doing the podcast again. And if anyone wants to be on the podcast and talk about their stuff, come aboard. And we'll try to, we also want to provide people a platform. So the website is there. It's been, Ben and Jonathan have done a fantastic job updating the ERN website, and the actual conference page itself. And we'll keep sharing more details as we know them. And yeah, I think that's it for me. I mean, just hit us up. We very much want to act as a platform for people. And I think people are so used to kind of bureaucracy and not, but that's why we're doing it in person now. So everyone can see I'm actually nice and not just fighting with Seth all the time, because we just have fun together, but it looks like we don't like each other. But I'd like to meet Seth Jenny, because, a bit of banter in person would be fun. But that's the idea, is that we anyone who met me at any events knows, I go, have you met this person? And the grad committee are doing this series because I said, yeah, do what you want. And anyone wants to do a video series or anything with ERN and be promoted, pushed, just ask us, just tag us in tweets, and we'll absolutely help promote your research. If you want to write an article for the website, go for it. If you have a question about your abstract, just ask us. So we're very, if you want to be on a panel, an idea for a panel, tell us, and we'll see what we can do. Cullum's very excited to go to Europe for the first time. He's going to Sweden in the winter. Bring a jacket, Cullum. Yeah, so that's it. Like, if anyone wants to get engaged, we're very flexible and very open to what people want to do.
Yeah, absolutely. So as Brian is saying, we are really open for anything. And I know academics are not used to it, but we are really open for any shenanigans. So be it the idea you want to do a regional workshop, go for it. If you want to do, we had a Rocket League team winning a charity cup, which is great. And we can do all of those things. Or something where, in the idea, collaboration with regional things, with teams and all that. If you have an idea and we can help you with that, we want to do that. And that's the idea we have with the ERN, not having this typical old school academic association where someone is at the top and says how it goes. We only have someone on the top for legal reasons, because there's always needs to be someone who gets knocked on the head. But besides that, I want to see ERN as something where you have a space to do whatever you want, especially the academic world can be quite tiresome and annoying. So at least in the ERN, you have the freedom to do whatever you want.
Thank you. And if you are more interested in the ERN and what it's really about, we also have a YouTube video about that on the Esports Research Network YouTube channel that you can watch, or you send me or Tobias or Brian some questions. And what I understood today was that the conference fulfills the same goals as the network itself, trying to connect people and trying to disseminate research and
and we will have
with esports research.
And we will have some representatives from big companies here. That's just being confirmed. I mean, ESL's GG for all as part of the social sustainability is definitely a big thing, but we have a lot of other discussions going on. And people who are wanting to talk about team performance and those sort of things, that does fit under the umbrella of sustainability. Last year's themes also fit under the umbrella. I really went open with this. It's just make it explicit. I mean, the idea is to bring people together so that people can, get engaged and enjoy themselves and advance their careers. And that's the biggest thing. There's no point traveling just to present and say, I was there. We're actually here to, you can do that and actually build something for yourself. And I'll bring people in from all over Sweden, and there'll be people here from all over the world as well. But we'll make sure that they are engaged here. And, I've got a new esports space just across the road beside the University for Justice, our university team. And I'm sure we can set Sean's game up in there and have a session, people playing that there. And, so there'll be a lot of opportunities to actually play games as well. I'll make sure of that. And we'll probably have a pub quiz at one stage, which I did for the ESIC Global Summit, and that was fun. So it'll be fun. Yes, they won, and I didn't like that because it seemed like it was a fix. But
the nerds won.
Yeah, Dom Sacco was so close with his team, but he answered all the questions. So Dom Sacco, if he's attending, has to be on his own team. But that's it. I mean, just submit your abstracts, and we'll keep releasing information and come hit us up with ideas. But it's an academic conference, but it's going to be different. It's going to be better. The paradigm has to break. We still do 3 hours lectures in 2022, and then just like education has to change, we're trying to change the paradigm of the academic conference, so that it's worthwhile for people to come. And if you can stay long enough, you get to go to DreamHack, and if you get there at the right time, you get to be there when the lights go off. And I was having a burger at the last one when the lights went off outside, and I was very disappointed in myself, because when you get several thousand people kind of gasp in excitement at the lights going off and the LAN is on, it's my favorite thing that I've experienced in the world. So it's even if you stay for the first couple of days of DreamHack, it's worthwhile to experience the biggest digital festival in the world.
Sounds like something that I need to do when I come to Sweden. And I think we have a question that just popped up. I have to read it. Currently doing a PhD topic and willing to do PhD in esports, particularly in marketing and specifically branding. I'm skeptical with data collection and looking forward to the conference. So can I submit abstract on my master thesis at the moment? I can answer that.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Oh, we'll say that just don't have the big S, because we're going with the esports with ES small s now. That depends on the journal, of course. That discussion's never going to stop. So Anwar, absolutely. And you can get to connect to people that can give you feedback, and just put it with a small s, or he'll reject it out of pedantism. But yeah, abstract to your master's is fantastic. No, Colin, not esports with a hyphen. No, we're not starting this now.
Okay, I have to go.
Yeah, no. The battle has begun. But any spelling is fine, actually. But I think for the conference, we'll go with the small s. But I'm never going to engage in that battle properly, because everyone has no, Kylie, small s. Otherwise, it looks awful. So yeah, encourage anyone who wants to come. And people doing a bachelor's, some bachelor's theses are fantastic on esports. Anyone can come. We're not. Like when I put the science and organizing committees on the website, I got rid of the titles. I didn't want doctor or professor here, because some people don't have PhDs, and we're not about that. We're esports. We're gaming. We're about a community, and we're about equality, and that's a huge one, actually. That the diversity for this conference, the social stuff is I love grassroots and social. But also they need the economic stuff and the environmental stuff. Luckily, I'm 41, so I probably will die before the apocalypse. But for the younger generation, we have to start looking at environmental stuff. And it's a platform to start those conversations in what is a wide open research area, because I know GG for All have projects where they're using esports as a vehicle to promote environmental issues. There are projects along those lines that esports is used as a vehicle for educating this generation that actually knows what's happening, who are the younger generation, who are the most likely to be playing games in esports. So anything on that is also welcome. So we welcome anything as long as it's in English. It's the only thing.
Yeah, and thank you for that. But I have to ask one last question that resonated with me for some minutes now. You talked about connecting with other people, creating relationship, collaborating on research ideas, and also sharing a coffee, enjoying yourself, and having a fika. What is the cost that one have to calculate for a coffee? And also, as a German one, I'm interested in beer. What is that in Sweden?
Oh, yeah. Okay. Right. Well, this is, the conference fees will cover a couple of dinners, and there'll be lunch provided as well, and some coffees. So there will be fika provided, and lunches and dinners while at the conference. So that's actually what the fees are for mainly. I'm going to get in so much trouble for keeping the fees so low. Probably have to dig into my own savings to fund this. Sponsors, please. But yeah, it's more expensive to have a beer in Sweden than it is in Germany or Ireland.
How much?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'll get a load of takeaway cans and put them in my apartment. Just 5-minute walk, so everyone can pre-game at my place. All these adults cramming in here to meet the cats. But yeah, I'm just around the corner. So if anyone's really strapped, I do have a couch for some people. I'll get some inflatable mattresses. But we will. Anyone, we'll discuss. I'll have a look at accommodation and stuff to provide for people who might not be in a position to have a university funded. Yeah. And we have, so it's not the cheapest place to have beer, but it will be a very fun place to have a beer.
Yeah. So to sum up, if I am correct, it was 250 euro for normal researchers, I would say, or normal people, and 100 euro for students.
students and people not associated with a business. Yeah, that'll
Okay.
cover a lot.
Honestly, I think it was a great session. And if you have something to add, Tobias or Brian, this is the time.
No,
Hello.
I'm going to play Valorant now.
Okay, then good luck. Have a great aiming, and everyone else, thanks for joining. Thanks for watching, and have a nice day. Hopefully see you in Sweden in November 21 to 21 to 23.
Or 21 to 26 when you stay for DreamHack.
Oh, yeah.
Thanks very much, Oliver.
Sorry.
Thank you.
Have a nice day. Goodbye.
Hey, Dor.
Bye.